Hello and welcome to the UniversalConnector series. This video is part 4, titled XML/TCP. I recommend, if you haven't done so already, checking out parts 1 and 2 of the UniversalConnector series. As mentioned in part 2, there are many different mapping types to choose from. In this video, we're going to focus on the XML signal type. For this demo, we're going to set up a GPS signal being sent via a TCP connection. So our signal, which is an XML format, has latitude and longitude coordinates. Therefore, it is a GPS signal. Now, the signal is being sent in using a TCP connection. So in order to set this up, we're going to use the UniversalConnector and open up that TCP connector. So let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this for now, and we'll get back to it later. So the first thing we need to do is open up our media gateway. I came over here to the far left and opened up connector. And what we're going to do is do add. And we're going to give it a name. So I'm going to just put my device. You could put the name of the actual device that you're going to be monitoring. And that connector type is going to be TCP. And say OK. So now this first line here is going to be the IP type. This is going to be that TCP. We have other options down here as well, depending on the device that you're going to be tracking. Most commonly used is TCP. The next thing we need to select is our connection type. We have listen and we have send. So this first one, listen, we are opening up that communication and we're going to be listening and waiting for a signal to be sent in. Send would be if we were attempting to make an outbound connection to the IP that you would have listed here in the connector section. Now the host name is going to be the IP address or server that we are using to listen for traffic. So ours is the local host. And the port that we opened up and made available through our firewall is that 10112. So once you have your host name and port information filled out, you're going to have to indicate what your beginning message value is and the end message value. So if I open up that signal again, that sample, you'll actually see that my sample doesn't have any value. However, the tool I'll be using to send in that TCP packet will fill in the values for me. So I'm going to minimize that, and that's where I put that 2 and that 3. Now, this is actually all filled out and ready to go. Now, this other information down here on the bottom is going to be based on your device expectations. So, for example, this ACK message is going to be if your device has an acknowledgement message that needs to be sent. That's where that would be here. Or a heartbeat message, which would be sent up if there was a constant communication. That would have a heartbeat message. So this is going to be indicated by the type of device that you're monitoring and what its expectations are. So since this one is done, I'm going to do update. And now I can come over here and I need to look for a menu UC send that is going to should already be imported or created in your system already. So menu items over here to the far left, if I click on it and put in my password, you'll see here that I already have that UC send menu in here. So if I right click on here and come down to component properties, you'll see I have the field set. You can look at all the information that is in here and then also the signal information. So I'm going to say OK, but basically this is going to send in a signal using those mapped fields and then end the session. If for whatever reason, if you go into your menu items and you cannot locate this UC send, go ahead and contact us and we can find that for you or make sure that it is imported. So the third step is going to be mapping that signal. So I need to come down here to data mapping and we need to add a new data map. Again, I'm going to name this that my device and say OK. And the mapping type, like we've already mentioned, is that XML. Our signal type, we need to come down here and select GPS signal. Now I have the option for a regular signal, GPS signal, and telemetry. GPS is going to have the coordinates, and a telemetry is going to actually have measurable data like a temperature, for example. So just choose GPS signal. And then the event type, you have that SYS, SIA, or CID. So again, depending on the signal that's coming in, you're going to need to know what that event type is. And ours is a PA. So I'm going to select SIA for panic. Now the next thing we're going to need to fill out is the packet route node and the signal route node. Now I do recommend bringing in a sample signal like I have down here at the bottom, and so that you can easily fill out this information. So if you select the ellipses here, come down here and browse and look for where you saved that sample signal like I put in Notepad. It's this one right here. And open. You can easily come in here and indicate the packet route node and the signal route node just by clicking. So now that packet route node is just going to be the general information, and that signal route node is going to be the actual signal information. So that first one, I just have to select packet, and that's going to be that label, and say OK. And now the signal route, if I do the ellipses, I'm going to do GPS. So GPS equals the start of the signal. So we're basically saying anything after it is going to be the signal. Now this is helpful in situations where there's multiple GPS signals for the same transmitter. So say OK. So now we've indicated the start of each of those. Now we need to come down here and fill out our mapped field section. So we're going to say what equals what. So if you click inside the order section here, and we're going to type in the number 1, indicating the first order. Then we need to point out the label. So if I click on the ellipses here, I'm going to start with ID. So ID equals that transmitter ID number. So you can click on ID and say OK. So now ID is a mapped field, and that's going to equal the transmitter ID. So this is going to work all the way through. So if I do number 2, tab over, do the ellipses. Now for this example, the caller ID actually isn't going to play a very important role in the signal. So I actually don't have to select the caller ID or the line. The next bit of information I need to select is actually going to be that event, not the event type, which is SIA, because we already indicated that at the top here at the beginning. I need to select the event and say OK. So now my label is event, again that mapped field, and we need to do event code. So you can scroll through here, or you can just type in an E on your keyboard to pull up that event code. So I'm going to keep tabbing over and do 3. And now the next bit of information I need to do is latitude for the label, and say OK. Again, mapped field, tab over, and that was latitude. If I keep going along here, do the ellipse, point out the longitude as my label, say OK, mapped field, and again, longitude. So our signal is complete. This is all that we need to translate into Manitou. If there were other information on your signal that you needed to translate, so again, depending on how your packet is tagged, you can continue doing that as well. But this is all that we want to translate, so ours is complete. Okay, and say File and Save. All right, so we created that connector and we opened up that TCP connection. We made sure that we had that menu item in there, that UC send. Then I came in and I mapped my signal. So I let it know that it's in XML format. It's a GPS signal and the event is SIA. I indicated the packet route nodes and the signal route node. and then I map that information. So now the next thing I need to do is set up my line driver. So select line driver here in the far left, put in my password. Come down here to the next available spot and bring down that drop down and look for that my device. So that's that connector that we just set up. I'm going to put in a description here and just do my GPS device. Now, you do not have to put in a description. I do recommend it. It is very helpful if you need to quickly come in here. You can see exactly what's connected and what's not connected and know exactly which one it is without having to click on it to see which one. So the next thing I need to do is that line function, which is UniversalConnector. And now fill out my properties. So if I click in it to highlight, right click and select properties, I can come in here and do my field set, which is going to be my data map I created. We're using FEP1. And our GPS receiver is going to be under receiver 5. Again, yours could be different. This is just how ours is set up. And then our line, I'm going to put line 2. Now this needs to match with whatever you have over in Manitou. Now when we go in and set up the receiver line prefix, this is going to make a lot more sense because we are going to create that second line. Next thing is that menu, and that's going to be that UC send. So that's everything for the properties, so just say OK. Now I can do another file save. And that completes the section for the media gateway as far as the information that we need to fill out. So besides doing a file save, we also need to finalize and finish up all of that information that we just plugged in. So the next thing we need to do is file and do a reload and restart, and that's going to refresh all that information and update what we just put in. And there we have it. And if you did not go through and do a file save while you were going through each step here, a little pop-up would pop up asking you if you wanted to save any changes. So now we need to open up our operator workstation, and we need to create our GPS transmitter type and get that set up. So maintenance, transmitter types, make sure you're in edit mode. And then we're going to come down here to GPS and add. So this type is we're going to do again that we could do GPS, or you can name it just that my device. And description, you could do my device or my GPS device. Again, whatever would be helpful for you. And the system type is GPS, and we're not copying it from anything, so you can just go ahead and say OK. And you'll see that put that down here on the bottom, so just have to do save. And now we've created and set up our GPS transmitter type. Within there, we now need to program the PSAP portion of this GPS device. This is going to allow those coordinates when they come in to match up with the authority, so you can contact the authorities that are near those coordinates. So again, edit. I need to select that PA for that panic, and you can scroll through and look for the PA, or you could type it in. And that's going to be a PA for any zone. And again, that PA is the event, which is a panic alarm. So now we need to come over here to commands, click on the ellipses, and we need to pull up and look for that PSAP lookup. And bring it over, so highlight and use the arrow to bring it over. And now this will be set up when you purchase the Bold Track and Location Services service, and once you're licensed for it. So when you come over here to service type, you're going to want to come and look for the PSAP that you have set up. Now this can be called just PSAP. It's going to depend on who set it up and what they decided to call it. So ours is going to be this one, and say OK. So now we've programmed the PSAP portion of this, and we can save. Okay, so now let's open up Supervisor Workstation, and we're going to get those receiver line prefixes set up. Maintenance, Setup, Receivers. So highlight the receiver line prefix. So you'll notice we do have a few prefixes already set up. So the benefit of setting up multiple receiver line prefixes is going to be when it comes to duplicate transmitter ID numbers. For example, if you already have a customer's cell phone number set up as an Instant Connect cell phone number, then you wouldn't be able to use that cell phone number again as, say, an SMS receiver or transmitter. Unless you have a separate receiver line prefix set up, you could duplicate that exact same number. So I just highlight receiver line prefix and do add. So let's do my dev. All right, and that's just going to be that short title there. And then the description, I'm going to actually type out my device. All right, and just OK. And save. So that added my device receiver line prefix. So now we need to open up that receiver 5 and put that second line in. So if I expand that, you'll see we already had line 1, so now we need to create line 2 so that it matches that line 2 that we indicated in the media gateway under our properties when we set up our line driver. So again, edit mode, highlight the receiver 5 and do add. Select that receiver line prefix that we just created, so that my dev, and the description. So again, I'm just going to do my GPS device. So say OK and save. So if we jump back over to the operator workstation, we now need to create the customer's GPS system and then their GPS transmitter. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and open up our customer. Come over here to the Jump To menu and select Systems. And so now we need to go into Edit mode. And we already have one system set up, so now we need to highlight GPS and create and set up our GPS system. So add the description. I'm going to do the My GPS device. So everything else is correct. The system type is GPS and location monitoring. So say OK. Now we need to set up the GPS transmitter. So still with opening up with the GPS, select transmitters and add. And that description is going to, again, the My GPS device. You can get as detailed as you would like. That's just what I'm using. Change that to 2. Forgot that I changed it to 1. And say OK. Now the transmitter type is going to be that My device. Receiver line prefix, again, is that My dev or the My device receiver line prefix that we created. And the transmitter ID. Now I'm going to open up that signal and see that the transmitter ID was at 719-555-1234. And so that's what I need to put in here. All right, so the next thing you're going to need to do is make sure that you have your audio capable option down here checked for two-way. I'm not able to demo two-way, so I'm not going to mess with having that checked. So I'm just going to go ahead and save. And now we can send in that test signal and show you what that's going to look like when it comes into the operator. So I'm just going to simulate that TCP connection and open up that signal that I have saved in here and send that through. and open up my alarm queue. And there it is. So double click on it. And you'll see over here in the far right, I have my flashing globe here. Now, in real life, I will already be on the phone with the customer because of the two-way and talking to them. So I'll have this pulled up, and I'll pull up my map here. And this gives the exact coordinates and location. So I can jump back over here to the alarm and go through, do D for do and go through the action pattern. Now I want to just click on contact police real quick and show you what that looks like. And you'll see that the PSAP was used to pull up for that location based on the coordinates, that 4447632. And that's going to be the authority that I need to call. And I already verified with the map the exact location. I'm on the phone with the customer and I can contact the police. This concludes part 4 of the Universal Connector series, our XML/TCP. You can find our upcoming videos on our YouTube page. For more information, contact your account executive today at sales@boldgroup.com.